If you want to test out any type of web application from a penetration perspective, either for red teams or to just see how the defenses are, take a look at the vulnerabilities, you're probably going to come across Burp Suite in some way, shape, or form. And that's exactly what it does. So it allows you to test web apps and APIs as well. But you could do anything from test a particular API that's public, or go directly to a URL, or go to a top level domain and various paths underneath, anything that's essentially public facing for you to get to. So the whole idea of web app testing, right, pen testing a web app, falls under AppSec. So of course you have a whole bunch of different types of applications, whether we're talking about middleware, whether we're talking about backend, whether we're talking about containerized applications. But in the case of Burp Suite, it's going to be all about web application testing. The typical difference between a community edition or a free edition of a piece of software and a paid edition are features. What the tool actually does is, arguably the same, but it's just a little bit watered down. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to take a look at the difference between Burp Suite Pro and Burp Suite Community. Now there's also an Enterprise edition, but I'm not going to go into that one in this video. All right, so first things first, on the Portswigger website, there is a solid versus case here for the Enterprise edition and the Professional edition. They actually, at least from what I could find, they don't have any that compare Community with Professional. But I did pull up a couple of Reddit threads here, and we can see some people asking about it. Somebody says, is it worth it? Because it's $400. So in reality, if you have the extra cash, feel free to pick it up, and hopefully after this video, you'll be able to make the determination of like, hey, should I buy it or not for what I'm doing? But if we scroll down here, we can kind of see the gist that people are saying you can use a combination of Zap and the Community edition of Burp Suite, or if you're just pen testing for fun or you're just learning, there's really no reason to buy it. But it's good, if you're maybe like a consultant in the pen testing space, or your job's going to buy it for you or something like that. But again, I want you to kind of go through the video, see the different options available for both Community and Professional, and just kind of make your own decision. Okay, so I have both running here. I essentially split them up between screen. That way we could see them together versus like me, minimizing and maximizing and all that good stuff, all the windows. So we're losing a little bit of real estate here in terms of screen, but we should still be able to see everything. Okay, so starting on the left, here's the Community edition. All right, they are both the same version 2024.6.6, version 2024.6.6. Okay, one of the first things that we see, and in terms of like the actual screen here, if we look, everything is pretty similar here, right? But there are three primary things that I want to point out right away. First, with the Professional edition, we have live audit from all traffic. Okay, Community, we have live traffic from passive. Second thing, this new scan button is grayed out here in Community. It's open in Pro. I'll talk about that in a second. Third, live passive traffic from proxy. You see how we just have summary in Community, but under Professional, we have summary, audit items, issues, event loggers, audit logs, etc. Now, the first thing that I want to do is I want to click this new scan button. Okay. So there's new live task and there's new scan. Okay. New live task opens up same way. As we can see, we have all the same options here. New scan gives us the ability to scan web app or API. So if I choose API, I can essentially upload it from a URL. I can drop the API spec in here. It's just going to be like maybe it's a Swagger spec or whatever in your .json. And then you can specify API details like endpoints, scan configurations. So you can tell Burp Suite how you want the scan to be performed, and resource pool. Okay. Now, if I do web app scan, we can specify URLs that we want to scan, specify the protocols, any advanced features that we want to add here, and then the scan configuration. So we got a couple of different options here: gain fast feedback on site security, more thorough scan, provides a good balance, and then a deep scan. Okay, so again, you even have some custom configurations here. So you got a bunch of different options. Application login, so you can configure login credentials or the recorded logins. So if you're doing any type of like password cracking or something like that. The next thing that we see right up top, so dashboard, target, proxy, intruder, etc. We have all those same options here for Professional that we do in Community, right? Now let's just walk through doing a target here. And as we can see, we can open up the browser here. So we can do, google.com, and we can see some traffic coming in here. All right, we have all of our requests. We have our responses here, any cookies, attributes, etc. We can change our scope. We see our issue definitions, and these are all the potential vulnerabilities that could occur in our web app. Notice here, they're usually called CVEs, but I guess because they're web-based applications, it's CWE. All right, and we can see that summary here. So let's say we just snagged one of these. We clicked send to intruder. That lights up here. We could start any payloads if we had any set up. Go back to the target. We'll say send to repeater. All right, we can test out sending that request. Here we are. Okay, so now let's try it in the professional edition. Do open browser. Okay, yeah, here we go. I did have to close out of the community edition for that one. There's probably some conflict because the same browser's opening up, same tool, etc. Okay, so a couple of things. Number one, we see these issues right off the bat. Okay, so I like how those pop up here. That's really solid. If we dove down a little bit and we clicked send to intruder, same rules are going to apply here. If we go back, we send it to repeater, see the same exact stuff. We can see the raw output, the hex, all the attributes, etc. So from a targeting perspective, that seems pretty similar. From a logging perspective, extensions, if we want to add in any, I think these all look pretty similar as well. So let's head back over to the community edition here really quick. I'm going to close out of the professional. Yeah, notice how those issues don't come up for us with the community edition. Logging is all the same. So we are getting very, very similar pieces here in terms of community versus professional. The GUI is the same. The options are the same. We just have a few different capabilities. So overall, I would say if you need the live audit and all the options that come with it, if you need the ability to scan APIs and web apps, and by scan web apps, I mean, crawl and audit specific sites. It looks like you could, of course, do that even in the community edition. I just think that with the web app scanner in the paid edition, you can do multiple, and then you can set up your scan configurations in terms of how deep you want to go. So yeah, you do get some, extra features there. And then like we saw in the professional edition, we see the issues that pop up to the right. If those sound good to you, if you need those for what you're doing, I would say maybe the $400 is worth it. But again, if you're just testing out Burp Suite and you're getting into it for the first time, and you're just getting into web app testing in general for the first time, you may not need to.